University of Strathclyde survey, 45% of all people working from home in the UK said they are remotely watched. In the empty office of the Prospect Union, Andrew Cake is worried.
What we've seen in the last year is that hand reach out from traditional industries where micromanagement is more common into all walks of life, whether it's office workers working at home, whether it's other forms of professionals.
A study by digital rights organisation Top 10 VPN showed US sales of surveillance software increased by 51% during the pandemic.
You've got software now that can measure your keystrokes, how fast you're typing on your laptop or what words you're typing. It is easy now for employers to check your emails for keywords, whether you're chatting to different workers and who you're responding to.
Brian gives us a flavour of what this feels like.
We have an employee forum. When the webcams were announced, that was one of the few times people were outright angry. There was a thread that disappeared, so that just vanished suddenly. There was then a second thread, and there was people within that thread saying, I've been told I should keep talking about this.
The pitch is that analytics allow companies to improve staff productivity, thus increasing profit. But Brian thinks employers benefit in other ways.
It's also a sort of repressive measure. I think workers are much less likely to organise, are much less likely to forget industrial action, even speak to each other.
This tracking is a global phenomenon. Amazon caused uproar when it announced the rollout of AI-enabled cameras in the USA that monitor neighbourhoods and their drivers.
Pressing and holding the driver alert button for 5 seconds will turn the driver-facing camera off, so you can have privacy while taking a break.
Coronavirus has been the opportunity for businesses and for governments to massively increase their power, to increase their surveillance, to increase their kind of control of every kind of minute area of our lives. And to roll that back is going to be very difficult. Once these things are introduced, for the greater good, for our own safety, for our own health, in the guise of public health.
Civil rights advocates fear this surveillance will be extended by the same measures many countries hope will allow travel to resume.
Health passports. Many leaders see them as a key to normality.
The almost empty resorts of southern Europe have helped convince the European Union.
With this digital certificate, we aim to help member states reinstate the freedom of movement in a safe, responsible, and trusted manner.
Israel has reopened gyms and hotels with its Green Pass, currently a QR code showing vaccination status. Many, including vaccine scientists, think they are inevitable elsewhere.
I don't personally like the idea of a vaccine passport, but obviously if another country insists that we show that we have been vaccinated and we want to go to their country, we would have to have a vaccine passport. Obviously for local use, I think it's a terrible idea. It would discriminate against people.
But for civil rights campaigners, the dangers go much deeper.
Discrimination wouldn't be a side effect of this. Discrimination is the whole point of this. The whole point of a COVID passport would be to create a two-tier society where the wealthy with their shiny COVID passes can, go to their special vaccinated-only hotels, vaccinated-only restaurants, vaccinated-only airplanes, and live a kind of continued privileged life, while those who are unable to show the right digital pass are locked out of society permanently.
In fact, critics fear all of the intrusive new technology that appeared during the pandemic is here to stay.
You don't build all that tech to then just easily shut it down the moment that the WHO says it's no longer a pandemic. 9/11 allowed for the use of identification at borders and for transport in a way that we've never had. And what governments have never had the capacity to do before was to add the next desirable layer, which is health, medical, and detailed personal information. And so we'll have built the infrastructure for all of that, and all of a sudden you have the perfect identity system involving biometrics, modern software, smartphones, all to fight a pandemic that one would hope that if you deploy the vaccine sufficiently, you don't need a passport anymore. But you'll have an identity system as the end result of this entire initiative.
A mineral central to the quest for clean energy, a key ingredient for the production of electric car batteries, cobalt. Extracting it is dangerous, but profitable. With global demand set to skyrocket, People in Power investigates claims that industrial mines extracting the precious material needed for cleaner energy are in fact poisoning the environment, with dire health consequences for those living in their shadow. The cost of cobalt. People in Power on Al Jazeera.
Award-winning programming from international filmmakers.
One quick jump and be straight on the boat. Incredible.
Global experts in discussion.
What guarantees everybody the right to a dignified life?
Giving voice to the voiceless.
Here in California, almost everybody's a paycheck away from being unhoused.
Programs that open your eyes to an alternative view of the world today.
This is what the picture looks like.
See the world from a different perspective on Al Jazeera.
This is Al Jazeera.
Hello, I'm Julai. This is the News Hour live from our world headquarters in Doha. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, police in Haiti say they've killed 4 suspects linked to the assassination of President Juvenal Moise. 2 others have been arrested. Former South African President Jacob Zuma turns himself in to begin serving a 15-month jail sentence for not showing up at a corruption hearing. Also this hour, pro-democracy activists return to court in Hong Kong, charged under China's national security law.
I'm Natasha Butler in Cannes, where festival organisers are locked in a row with Netflix.
And I'm Peter Stimmet with the Sport. England have reached their first major football final since 1966. They fought from a goal down to beat Denmark and will now face Italy for the Euro 2020 trophy on Sunday. Action coming up later this hour.
Thank you very much for joining us. We begin this news hour with Haiti, where police say they've killed 4 suspects believed to be involved in the assassination of President Juvenal Moise. Security officials say they were involved in a gun battle with an armed group. Police also arrested 2 other men but did not provide any information about those in custody. Moise was shot during a raid on his home on Wednesday. The interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph has said the crime will not go unpunished. Rosalind Jordan has our report.
The family of Haitian President Jovenel Moise will not be able to hold an open casket funeral. Assassins shot him several times in the head in front of his wife and daughter early on Wednesday. Later that night, police arrested these 2 men in the Pétionville neighborhood of Port-au-Prince. They killed 4 other suspects. 3 officers were briefly held hostage during the raid. Moise's killing upset local residents.
Imagine we live in this area close to the president. Even when we have problems with the president, we can't imagine they will kill him like this.
I heard something go boom, like an earthquake. I thought something under the soil had been turning.
The interim prime minister urged Haitians to remain calm.
I have already spoken about the state of the siege declared. The president's body has already been transported into the morgue in the capital. The first lady is out of danger and is being treated in Florida. As per the latest information, her state is stable.
Moise's death came as he was in the middle of a political crisis. Parliament has been suspended for the past 2 years, and opponents accuse Moise of trying to undermine the Constitution. The U.S. backed Moise's decision to stay in power for 1 more year, just so long as elections took place on time.
We need a lot more information for this. It's very worrisome about this.
Even as the investigation begins, interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph and the man Moise had picked to succeed him are fighting over who's in charge. Moise's widow, Martine, was flown to the U.S. to recover from her injuries. But Haiti's border with the Dominican Republic is now closed, and authorities have shut down the airport until further notice, raising questions about how Haiti will recover from this attack on the body politic. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Washington.
And our diplomatic editor James Bates has more reaction from UN headquarters.
Here at UN headquarters, concerned about the possible repercussions after the assassination. The spokesperson for the Secretary General put out
The perpetrators of this crime must be brought to justice. The Secretary General extends his deepest condolences